Good day, I'm Leo. I'm a Habitat Pro and I work on homes, and I'm here today to tell you some things that you need to know about your home. The first thing you want to understand is plumbing, and in all houses will have a water meter. This one will be installed later, and there are shut-off valves on either side of the water meter to shut off the water to the house should there be a problem with water. You have a tankless water heater. The adjustments for increasing or lowering the temperature are here. And since it's an on-demand water heater, you will get hot water as long as you're running hot water. So long showers will always have hot water, but will increase your water bill. In the bathroom, there are shut-off valves for the water. First, for the toilet, there is a shut-off valve here. It's a quarter turn, off, on. And underneath the sink, there are similar valves to shut off the water to the faucet. In the kitchen, there are shut-off valves for the faucet, also underneath the sink. For the faucet, there's a trap for the drain. There's a garbage disposal unit. One point you should always know about a garbage disposal unit: never throw grease down a garbage disposal unit. It will clog the unit and you will be calling a plumber. You also have shut-off valves for your washer, hot and cold. And in regards to that, the hoses going to your wash machine should be changed about every 2 years to prevent them from cracking and bursting and causing a water spill. The bathrooms in your house is what not to flush down your toilet. Do not flush down sanitary products, disposable diapers, or disposable wipes. Regardless of what the package says, they are not designed to go down your plumbing. Flushing those down will cause nothing but problems for you. It will clog up your sewer line, and then you will have to call somebody to unplug your sewer line, which is very expensive. Do not flush those items down your toilet. As far as sinks go, your sinks, when they start to run slow, you'll need to try and make sure that there's no hair and products clogging it. And an item that can be used to help unplug your drains, if you do it regularly, is just plain bleach. Put 2 cups of bleach in your drain, leave it set for 15-20 minutes, then flush your drain with cold water. You can do the sink, you can do the tub, you can do your kitchen sink on the side, not with the garbage disposal, with bleach, and that will help keep them clean. This is the thermostat for your heating and cooling. It's a setback thermostat, and you need to read the booklet to understand all of the features of it. But during the summer, when you're running the AC, make sure that your fan is running all of the time. This is your furnace. Here is the switch to turn it off should you need to, or for service. The other thing you need to note is this is your filter. And this filter should be changed periodically. And the best way to know when to change it is to write the date on here of when you installed it.
Hi, I'm Fred. I'm a Habitat Pro, and we're here to help explain some of the things that go on in a house that you're going to be living in. Okay, we want to talk about the electricity in the house. All of the electricity control for the house is through the main junction panel, which is normally located in the utility room. And inside of this panel, which controls all of the electricity to everywhere in the house, are what they call breakers, and these are designed so that if there's an overload or a short circuit, they will trip. Also, in each bedroom, there's a special type of breaker to give an extra level of protection. They're called arc fault. If the bedroom itself doesn't work right, then come in and you would check in the list over here to find out what the breaker is for that bedroom. And if it, you can test it by pushing the button and the light will light, and it can be reset by tripping the breaker back over. Now the same is true on the other appliances which are around plumbing, and they're called ground fault interrupter, GFI. And again, if those trip, you'll see a light, and that can be reset by tripping that breaker. And every location in the house is usually listed by the number on the sheet on the inside of the panel. Usually these are never a problem unless there's a short circuit somewhere, but it's the first place to check when there's no power at an outlet or in a bedroom or in a light. In the kitchen and the bathrooms are places where there's any place that you could be in contact with water and could get a shock. There also is another level of ground fault interrupters, and these have, when they trip, have a light that shows, and there will be no power. These can be reset by pushing the reset button, and the light will go out and you'll have power back on. And many times these are tied together, so you'll have multiple outlets that will be controlled by one of the outlets. In the house, in the hallways, and in each bedroom are smoke detectors. Now these smoke detectors are powered from the electrical panel, and they are all tied together. So if one smoke detector in a bedroom goes off, then all of the smoke detectors in the house will start squealing. These smoke detectors are powered with electricity from the main panel, but in the event that there's a power failure, these smoke detectors each have a battery inside to give backup, so that if you don't have any power, you still have protection against smoke or fire. These should be changed at least once a year. When the batteries go bad, you will start hearing a little chirping noise from one or more of the smoke detectors. So at that time, it's a good idea to go around and change the batteries on all of them. The best practice is once a year, maybe on your birthday, is to go in and change the batteries on each of the smoke detectors for your best security. On a typical smoke detector, you will have an internal battery, and this battery can be removed and replaced quite easily. And then you replace this back onto the ceiling and twist it in place, and it will automatically reconnect to the power, and the battery will give you the secure backup. Your houses are being supplied with low energy light bulbs called LEDs, which is light emitting diodes instead of conventional old-fashioned light bulbs. These only use a fraction of the electricity that the old light bulbs used to use. So whenever you have a problem and have to replace a bulb, always make sure that you use an LED bulb. And they are kind of unique looking, but they replace a regular bulb. But do not ever use these in your oven light or your microwave light, because they're not designed for heat. Always use an appliance bulb, and you can buy those in the store in a packet that says appliance bulb. The ceiling lights will either be LED or they will be fluorescent bulbs, and those should be replaced exactly with the kind that was there before. In the master bathroom will be a ceiling fan, and it will usually be running either part of the time or all the time automatically to keep ventilating the house. And there will always be a switch for the light which goes on. But the fan itself will continue to run in the master bathroom. And this is to ventilate the moisture out. Underneath the house is what we call a crawlway. It's about this high, and it is only intended as an under position for the house. It's not used for storage. You can put paint down there if you wanted, but don't ever put anything like cardboard or cloth in it. The access to the crawlway is usually in a closet, and it will generally have some sort of a handle to pull it open with. Once the crawlway is opened, you need a small ladder to get down inside. Inside the crawlway is a sump pump, and the sump pump is there in case the water starts to come in through the subfloor, and it will rise. The sump pump drains it back out so that it won't cause any moisture in the bottom of the crawlway. The sump pump needs to be periodically checked. It usually will have an alarm on it, so if the water comes up and it gets too high, it will give you an alarm. But sump pumps do fail, so periodically that needs to be checked by opening the crawlway, getting down with a flashlight. There usually is a light underneath that you can turn on, and to find out if the sump pump indeed is working right. Above the top of the house is the attic, and access into the attic is usually in a hallway with a small covered opening. That can be just pushed up to be able to stick your head up in there and look. There is no storage space in the attic. It's usually filled with insulation, and there is generally no need whatsoever to get up into the attic unless for some reason you want to inspect it. And that would be done just by pushing up that cover, and on your ladder you can come up and stick your head inside. And there usually, again, is a light up in there. Okay, windows have to be cleaned, and of course cleaning the inside isn't a problem. But how do you clean the outside of windows? Well, these windows are made so that you can clean the outside from inside. So we'll give a quick demonstration of how you open a window to clean it. Unlock the window and pull the tabs on the side, and this can be pulled down and the window can be cleaned on the bottom. But how do you clean the top window? First of all, you have to unlock so the window can be dropped. And once the window is dropped, at the top you've got locking tabs that can pull, and now you can clean the outside of the top window. Then when you put it back, it locks in place, and when you lift it up, make sure the top one locks so that it doesn't drop. The bottom then goes back into position, and you make sure the locking tabs are done. Very easy. Outside of the house, we have several things that need to be watched. First of all, the air conditioning unit usually sits outside the back of the house. This unit comes on automatically, so you don't need to do anything about it, except you need to be very careful to watch for any buildup of leaves or debris or lint or anything that can plug the sides of that. The way to clean it is just take a hose and wash it down. It's designed to be out in the rain, so don't worry about getting things wet, but you can take a hose and wash down all of the area to keep it clean. Speaking of hoses, the hose is attached to the hose bib on the outside of the house. This is called a frost-proof bib, so that the valve is inside the house and it automatically drains, so in the winter it will not freeze and break the line. The most important part is The hoses should be taken off in the winter. Don't ever leave a hose on in the winter because it will be full of water, it'll freeze and break, and it's a very expensive repair. So just remember, take the hoses off. On the air conditioning unit, do not cover it in the winter. Leave it open, because if you cover it in the winter, several things can happen. One is it holds moisture in here and it can start to rust things. And secondly is small animals like mice and chipmunks and whatever will come inside the cover and make their nests. You don't want that. Usually on the side of the house is the power meter, which comes in that the power company reads, and it may be in different locations. This never needs to be touched or looked at. It's totally automatic and no maintenance is required. The house also has a gas inlet, and it has a meter on the outside of the house which is measuring all of the gas usage that comes into the house. Again, this requires no maintenance and should never be touched or messed around with. It has a transmitter on it, so the power or the gas company automatically can read this. They don't have to come and look at it or anything. They get the transmission and they get the amount of gas usage automatically. On the outside of the house, there usually are front and back electrical outlets, and they're in a covered box. And these also have GFIs and can be reset if they trip. These should always be kept closed, and you should never leave things connected to them when you're not using them. Houses are usually equipped with a shed, or you may have a garage. And this is good for storage of outdoor equipment and that type of thing. But it's very important that you do not store paint in outside sheds or garages during the winter, because if paint freezes, it's worthless, it's no good anymore. So always remember that paint should never be stored in an outside shed or in the garage, because there's no heat. Some of the tools that you should always have to do some minor repairs around the house are like I'm going to show you. A pair of some kind of pliers, a regular screwdriver with a flat tip, a screwdriver with a Phillips tip, a hammer, any size is fine, a utility knife. It's nice to have a rule of some kind so you can measure, some spackling compound with a putty knife to put it on, and a paintbrush to do any kind of touch-up. And these are the basic tools that everybody should have to do minor repairs around the house.
There are probably additional areas within the house where you will have questions about products or usage. An additional and very helpful resource are the stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Menards. If you go into specialty departments and ask questions, they will walk you through any sort of a problem or fix that you may have for your home. You can also use the internet and YouTube for finding videos on how to fix problems or investigate whether you really have a problem. And don't discount it as another source of helpful information as a homeowner.